Good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's morning for me. My name's Calling Me Crazy. Welcome back to the channel. If you didn't know, I have an inbox you can send questions to down in the description down below. It's a Google form. If you want to fill that out, super easy. You can also pick your own gameplay, which I think is pretty cool. I do those on Tuesdays, and today is Friday, so I just have a regular topic that comes from the old Chrome Dome, and we're going to talk about the hot topic of AI because I'm a computer scientist. I graduated last year with a computer science degree, so I know a little bit about it. I know the ins and outs, I guess, of the general sense of how an AI works, I guess, in most circumstances. I took a fundamental class my last year about AI because it's such a buzzword nowadays, and I think that was a requirement out of my degree to learn a little bit about it. And to be honest, it was pretty interesting. It had a lot to do with like the fundamentals of how they work, like where they get information from, and how it kind of like behaves between information that you give it. And we kind of built our own in a way, but we didn't really like test it in the way where it like searches for things and grabs information from other places. It more or less just kind of like whatever I gave it is what it knew, and that was about it. And it was very basic stuff. Like we would tell it about I think like a murder mystery, and it would try to solve it, and it did. Or it would get like information from like a basic family structure and like make assumptions based off that, and it did. So it's very very basic stuff. That's why it's called fundamental AI. So it was very basic, but I did learn a little bit about it that way and how it worked, and I kind of want to get my 2 cents on it a little bit. It is the hot topic, and I think there's a lot that goes into it, whether it's economically or socially. It is very, very much present in a lot of people's day to day. So I do think AI can be a great tool. It is a great tool, emphasis on tool, because I don't think it should be a replacement for whether a job position or someone's career, or could be even like a friend. People use AI to chat with all the time. It's kind of scary, a little bit. In terms of not scary because of the AI, it's scary because of the people that are using it, because then they lose a lot of like social skills, and those people can vote and walk around. So it gets a little scary in that sense. But I think it's mainly a tool. I think the point of it is to be used to assist in certain things. For me, as a programmer, I don't actually use ChatGPT. I don't use any AI tools. I've seen them in like some applications, and I'm not gonna lie, even half the time that they pop up, they are kind of more like annoying. They're like Navi from Legend of Zelda that just comes up with random BS to tell you, and that's like information that you already know about most of the time, and it's not very helpful. It's not very helpful at all. And I feel like people use it for the wrong reasons a lot of the time. I see kids and parents, they use it for like recipes, which I think is fine. Homework, which is really bad. That's like plagiarism type territory. Chatting, like I said before, which I think is just really detrimental to your social skills. Advice, search engines. I mean, you name it. They use it for a lot of different things. And since I'm around kids and parents all the time, I get to hear that a lot. And I think it's interesting, but at the same time, it's also kind of concerning, because it's like a lot of them are just kind of like turning their brains off and not using credible information. The problem really with the information that AI gets is it relies on stuff that it's given, whether it's credible or not. So you could just feed it really any information you want. It could be misinformation, it could be lies, it could be assumptions, rumors, and it's going to base all of its decision making and decisions off of that. And so you could have a really crappy AI that I'm sure plenty of people have built before, where it just lies to you. It just straight up lies to you. A lot of the sources it grabs from, whoever made it just didn't do a good job of feeding it reliable information. And that's kind of the bad part about it. And I think it's not really that good to use in that sense, because then you're kind of forfeiting really like truth and like information that you should be consuming. And then, I mean, I feel like that's kind of what turns into like radicalism sometimes, or like extremism, and in senses where like no matter what information you're told outside of your AI bubble, you think it's false, and it could be true for the other side. It doesn't really matter, and that's kind of a problem. I feel like that's an issue. I don't know if it's as prevalent as I'm describing it. You know, I don't know if that's something that someone is delving into day to day, like the mass majority of people, but it is a scenario that probably is occurring on some sort of scale, which is, I think, not good. This is not a good thing. People also rely on it instead of their own wit and curiosity, like I said before. It's advertised, not made or built, but it's advertised for those who don't think or want to think for themselves. Hence, I think you're kind of an idiot for using AI instead of thinking, or using like a normal search engine, man. Just use Google. Like, just use Google, please. Or look up websites. Don't go to ChatGPT and ask it questions and not dive into where it's getting its information from. At least if you're gonna do that, look at where it gets its source of information and see if it's credible or not, because that's just like a big problem. That's something they taught me long time ago in like grade school. I mean, like whenever you, I think, were sourcing material for like a paper, you always had to make sure it was credible. I used this website called EasyBib. It's still around, still works, and it would tell you like where the information came from, who wrote it, when was it published, blah blah blah. And that stuff matters. It still matters, and it matters in this context too of AI, that it's really important that you know where the information comes from, because it could just come from a post or a blog, or fuck it, it could be from TikTok, and you just ask that question and it could be false. You don't know. It could be from a comment section of just people giving their own opinion. Like, it really matters where this stuff comes from, depending on the context of the question you're asking. But if you're looking for very, like, I guess, how do I describe this? If you're looking for very like factual information that relies on concrete yes or no's, and you're getting a lot of wishy-washy answers, I don't think that's good. I think that's bad. And you really should think of things yourself. I mean, like, I've been reading books lately, and it's been kind of nice, you know. I get to see perspectives of other people. I'm not just always in my own head and always think I'm right. You know, that's definitely a dangerous territory to be in. And I think the biggest thing that hasn't really caught up yet is the liability when it comes to AI. Like, people use it in businesses a lot. You got, you know, Google's got their own, Microsoft, I'm sure just about every big company you can name, Apple, they all have their own big AI. And the problem is with liability and like lawyers and the law, like, courts haven't really caught up to what to do if the AI breaks down. If, for instance, like, I'm using, I don't know, on my phone, I guess, I'm using, is it Gemini? I think it's called Gemini for the iPhone. And I ask it, let's say, some really important information about something, and it gets it wrong, and next thing I know, I lose my job, and I file a lawsuit because it told me information that was wrong. And based off that, I lose my job, or whatever, some scenario like that. I can't come up with a great one. Whose fault is that? Is it the AI that's on my phone from, you know, Apple? Or is it the guy that made it? Or is it the company? Or the CEO? Like, who in charge takes the blame for stuff like that? Because you can't take an AI to court. AI can't be held in court, so it really depends on who takes the blame. And that's like a big problem. That's something that we were discussing a lot when it came to this one class I took. It was a seminar, also in my senior year. There was a lot of AI talk in my senior year of college, where we would talk about like different ethical implications of software and coding and programming, and AI obviously was the one that took over the most and was very important to talk about. And liability is like one of the biggest things that we discussed, where we were like, who takes blame? There's no law about it yet, at least that I'm not aware of, and courts aren't catching up fast enough to really handle that situation. So I feel like a lot of shady business is going behind bars that you don't see. So bottom line is, for the video, be careful. be careful using this stuff. Be careful using AI. I would rely more on books and normal search engines to find information, and you can still use AI in parts of your life and as a tool. Please use it as a tool. Use your own brain. Don't be stupid. Yeah, that's kind of all I had to say for this video. It was a hot topic, a big buzzword, and I'm sure I'll probably bring it up again at some point. But I wanted to give my 2 cents on that as a computer scientist. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.